Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So we're going to look in this video about what's going on with the tokens of Craft World. So the game that Voya Games launched on Ronin 2 weeks ago now. I've come to Gecko Terminal, which is sort of part of CoinGecko. So the thing about Craft World is it has its own coin now that it launched because it's called Coin. I call it Dino Coin, but it's called Coin. That's the ticker. And every other resource in the game is also a token. So if you're swapping between, say, Earth and you want to sell your Earth and buy some fire, you have to sell your Earth against Coin and then sell the coin to buy the fire. So that's how the process works. We'll have a look at the game a bit later in the video. But why I'm looking at this is CoinGecko isn't listing those because it's sort of they're not big tokens in terms of sort of fully diluted value or anything like that. But so we'll go to Coin Terminal, which is just a slightly more complicated way of doing it. I don't really know how to use it, but we'll make our way. So here we just have a list of all the chain rankings. We don't really need to care about this because we don't care about that. We care particularly about the Ronin chain. So we'll look at Ronin. So obviously Craft World is on the Ronin blockchain. So we want to look at tokens on the Ronin blockchain, and we can see here, some basic stuff. So Katana is the DEX on Ronin. And we can already see some trending categories. There's coins, some of these coin water, coin clay. So that's sort of interesting. So this is actually listing the trend. What is listing it? Over the last 6 hours, it's listing fully diluted value. It looks like. Let's just sort of start off, take a step back and go and have a look at sort of what are the big tokens on Ronin. So these are the biggest pair on Ronin is wrapped ETH and wrapped RON. So $600 million of fully diluted value on that. The Axie token versus RON, so 263 million. So the usual sort of thing going on there. That's fine. We don't see any of the coin token here. We do actually, if we go down far enough, see if I can find it. I think it's about 20 here. Here we go. So this is the first. I think this is the first time we see coin. So this is the Craft World coin. So it's the biggest sort of liquidity pool is coin and RON, which is what you expect because RON is the native token of the Ronin blockchain. And we can see here this is only just over $1 million. So a 1/600th of what's of the big one. The game's just launched. It's only been going. Where do we find it? It's only been going 14 days. So not a great surprise that we don't see a massive FDV on that. We could also look, another way of sort of looking at it is how big are the pools. So what's the biggest pool in terms of liquidity? So that's how much value is in there. How much value is in that pool in terms of what you want to swap between? Again, we have the biggest pool is the RON ETH, wrapped RON, wrapped ETH pool, and there's $12 million worth of liquidity in that pool. And then the WETH RON, the other way around, is 11 million. And then USDC Small Love Potion or Smooth Love Potion, can't remember which one it is anymore. Smooth Love Potion. So we can sort of see, what are the biggest pools on the Katana DEX on the Ronin blockchain. So even in this case, we're not seeing a lot of coin. So it's not sort of a big value, and it's not a lot of liquidity yet, I guess we would say. But what is interesting is if we look at the number of transactions. So the biggest token here is ETH and RON. Basically, you're swapping between ETH and RON. They're obviously really big sort of crypto coins on Ronin. And there's been just under 6,000 transactions in the last 6 hours. So obviously that makes sense. That's what everyone's doing. Looks like people are selling RON and buying ETH, if that's right. But if we click here on transactions, and now what happens? So this is what happens when you have a fully on-chain game running on a blockchain. So there's not that many wallets. There's about 1,000 wallets, I think, a day, unique wallets playing Craft World. So not an enormous amount. Those are people doing on-chain transactions. So you could play the game and not do on-chain transactions. To do an on-chain transaction, you need to do a resource sell or a resource buy. So that's what's doing the on-chain bit. We can see here 21,000. So Earth is the first token you get, or is the lowest the most common resource you get is Earth. So people are immediately selling Earth and getting coin, and then they're using that coin to buy something else. So we can see here 21,000, 17,000 of steel. That's a much rarer resource, but not that rare. Mud is not much more, is common like Earth. Sand, also pretty common. Clay, also pretty common. Water is the sort of the earth, water, and fire are the sort of the starting components. So again, fairly common. So when we get to stuff like oxygen, now that's rarer. Gas, heat, all these different ones here. So they're not all coin. So some of these we can see here. There's the Ronin one there. It was at 5,000-6,000. But we can see here the top 10, most transacted liquidity pools on Kontaka on the Ronin blockchain are all from Craftworld, even though that game only has, let's say, doing about 1,000 daily active unique wallets, and it just goes to show when you put a game that's basically has a fully on-chain component that people need to trade all the time. People are just selling Earth or selling anything else, but mainly selling Earth, as we can see, and buying coin and then using coin to buy other things. That's immediately becomes apparent. So obviously, if the game wasn't live on the Ronin blockchain, Ron ETH would be top. So all these top 10. So it just goes to show that as more people come to play the game as well, maybe some of these liquidity pools will start getting bigger. We can see not really large. So a few $1,000. So $21,000 here looks like the biggest one for coin and water. Anything else? Yeah, but so not even close. In fact, the biggest liquidity pool for Craftworld, which I don't think I can show, or I can go back the other way, is where was it? Was Coin and Ron? Was it Coin and Ron? So what was that? Actually, so the liquidity there was actually showing really low, only showing $200. I don't think that was high. So Coin and Ron is 13,000. I don't know what the difference between those two is. Maybe it's showing it twice. Don't know. Anyway, so it's not a lot of liquidity still. Over time, that will probably go up. I should point out the other thing. We can look at it actually in the game. The other thing is liquidity is provided sort of within the game. So it's the game players that are providing the liquidity in the game. So let's quickly move over to the game and show how that works. Okay, as ever, when you come into Craftworld, there's lots of buttons for you to press straight away. I try and resist the temptation. I can't. I've got to press those buttons to get those boosts. So starting my factories off, you can see here. Here's the Earth, the first basic material, and then it goes up to all these other. You're building these, leveling up your factories. I just leveled up my entire base there to level 43, and I'm getting all these materials, and I'm sort of, that's all doing what that's doing. I won't go into all that. But here we go. Here is sort of the key on-chain bit here. So these are, if I wanted to sell all my Earth, I could sell 3,876 of them, and I get 27 27 coin, because this is really not worth very much. I've got a 20. What have I got? I've got a 134,000. I've been selling stuff, so I've got loads of coins there. And if I wanted to, I could buy. How much is even that? 17 million Earth. Or if I go any of these things that I've unlocked, the rarest thing I've unlocked at the moment is glass. So I could spend all my money, all my coin, and I could get 221 glass if I needed that for some reason. But the interesting bit here is this is the pool. So this is what I was talking about. What are the liquidity pools? So here is where, if I wanted to, I could, do I need this? Yeah, it looks like I need the pro account to do that. Even though I should have one. Anyway, but I've done these ones already. So you can see here, I put fire and coin in the liquidity pool. So anytime someone's buying fire, it takes fire from the liquidity pool and gives Dino coin into the pool. And if you're buying fire, obviously you put in coin and you take out fire. Same thing. I've got a water and a coin position here as well. You can see over time I've got less. I'm not the only person doing liquidities. There's also lots of other people doing liquidity. This is just my position here, and over time I've got less. If I quitted this now, I'd get less fire than I put in, but I get more coin than I put in. is what the minus and the plus is. Obviously, when you're putting two things in of equal amounts, and then people are trading, buying one or the other, so you always end up in a slightly different position from what you started out as. And always you end up with more of the thing people don't want over time, rather, because the valuable things, that's people are coming in and buying that, and they're giving you the stuff they don't want. So in this case, it's probably going to be, for most of these resources, you're always going to end up with more coin, because coin is basically designed to go down in price. So you're always going to end up with more Dino coin than resource that you put in. I mean, that's just the way the system works. So there we go. That is a potted history of what's going on with Craft World, and really, glad to see it launched on Ronin. Really good to see that when you put a fully on-chain game on a blockchain, you want to see loads of activity, and we're seeing loads of activity compared to any other game that's on there. And hopefully over time we're going to get more and more activity as more people play the game. As I say, about 1,000 at the moment. Oh, what are we building here? Building some weird rocket ship thing here. So this is one of the things called masterpieces, and you can basically give away your resources. You contribute your resources. So all these different people are giving away their resources, and we all end up on a leaderboard, and we all get some rewards based on where we are on the leaderboard once they're normally sort of rockets or things like that. Once they're completed with all the resources that they need, these ones are all complete already, so we need to fill up these ones that aren't complete, and then we all get rewarded, and then we go back to building our little factories. So yeah, thoroughly recommended. You should be playing Craft World. It's also available on mobile. I generally play it on PC, but it's an idle game, so it works really well on mobile as well. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.